So welcome back to Downright Sports. We have got a big chat for you this afternoon. We've got Mr. Rob Parker, who's with me in the studio. And we've been away for quite a while. This is the first event we've got of 2012. And we've got lots to discuss. We've got boxing, we've got tennis, and we've got, of course, nearing the end of the football season. So if you want to add any comments when you watch the video, please leave them on Facebook, on Twitter, or on the website. But I hope you enjoy us. Lots on the agenda today, Rob. We've been away for a while. I think this is the first Commentator's Corner for 2012.
It is.
A lot has happened in many sports, but one sport that's just getting going now, because it's the proper season for it, is golf.
That's absolutely right, yeah. I think we're living in a golden era at the minute for European golf and golfers. At the top of the world rankings, obviously at the minute you've got Luke Donald, who just seized the position back from Rory McIlroy. McIlroy only had it for 2 weeks. But I think that's going to be a tug of war for some time, I think, there. And of course you've got other people who really want back into that upper echelon there. Lee Westwood ain't going to give up that without a fight. And Martin Kaymer's going to want back in. And there's tons of other golfers who are all looking upwards. And of course Tiger's coming back. He's looked really sharp when he's played recently. But if you forget the little Achilles problem he had a couple of weeks back. But it's good to have him back, I think. I think the game of golf is better with him in it because he's one of the best golfers ever. So you want these people involved, you want these people around. On the topic of Tiger Woods, a lot of people still don't want him involved at all or anything like that. But,
you still get that feeling.
I think so. I don't know. It's difficult because it is all about forgiveness, isn't it? And if you do say sorry, you've got to be entitled to try and mend your ways, haven't you, really? So
forgiveness is something that's been going on a lot recently. There's obviously the Dwayne Chambers thing. Sorry to cross sports.
Absolutely.
No. That's another one where in golf we've had, caddies saying certain things about...
Yeah, we've discussed that.
We've discussed that, yeah. But, of course, with the Dwayne Chambers thing, it's I think it's a slight difference between... competing in the Olympics once you've already been proven to be a drugs cheat, as it were.
That's right.
Because the Olympics does have a special stamp, doesn't it?
It does.
Tiger's was more of an off-field.
It's nothing really to do with the sports. No. It's not like performance enhancing or anything like that.
No, it's not, is it? No.
I'm sure if adultery was a performance enhancer, there'd be even more of it. Rife in all sport, but. Yeah, I think given that it was off field, on the field, you could argue that he's not always had the game of golf in his in the forefront of his agenda, with the spitting and the behaviour that he sometimes gets up to. Apparently, he's off with the fans or whatever sometimes out there, and that he's a bit curmudgeonly. But again, everyone plays sport in their own way, don't they? So if he plays it in that way, that's fine. Yeah. But you can't argue that when he gets on a golf course, there's a buzz, there's electricity. And he brings something to those 18 holes that other players don't. Plain and simple.
We've had years and years of domination from him. It is quite nice now. It's almost a free-for-all. Tiger is one of those who is in the free-for-all, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Even by default, because his world ranking doesn't suggest that he's part of that free-for-all, but he really, really is. I think, going back to the top end there, McIlroy and Donald are wonderful, wonderful golfers. And you've got so many people who are going to try and gun them down for that position. I don't think anyone's going to come close, really, aside from possibly Lee Westwood, to really making a run at the number one spot outside of those two for a good 6 months or so. But it's about the future of golf in Europe. I mean, there is the Ryder Cup this year to contend with as well, and European golf is in such a cracking state of fitness for that coming up. I would, the Ryder Cup team is picked on world rankings and then wildcard picks. But
too many than picking this time.
That is
Justin Rose, of course, has just come into the top 10.
He has, yeah. Justin Rose performed incredibly well a couple of weeks back to win. I can't remember the name of the tournament he was in, but it was the USPGA event 2 weeks ago. And he won by a shot on the last day. I think pipping Bubba Watson to the post there. But, it doesn't matter whether we're in Europe, whether we're over in the States, the Europeans are out there kicking backside in golf. Yeah. And it's absolutely magic. It's really, really good to see. And, of course, there is a tournament every week. I mean, the golf schedule is so jammed up. It's absolutely packed. And then you've got, obviously, there's the 4 majors that come up, and you've got to take your rest time. And I think this is something we intended to talk about, was Arnold Palmer being a bit,
that's it, yeah.
being a bit upset with Donald and McIlroy for not doing it. I mean, you look at Donald and McIlroy; these are 2 people who are juggling being involved in 2 golf tournaments, so to speak.
Yeah.
They're in the European Tour, they're in the PGA Tour. They've got to somehow balance the both of them, and that is going to involve rest periods, and that is going to involve missing out on certain tournaments that have a lower down, a lower importance, perhaps.
Well, we've seen it in tennis a lot, haven't we? I mean, Andy Murray's been one who's complained that there are too many tournaments going on each year. Federer occasionally drops out of them.
Yeah.
Nadal doesn't do some of them. Obviously, the Williams sisters in the female game. You can't be expected to play in every game, otherwise you lose that intent. Well, you lose the intensity, and you need a bit of a break, don't you?
Absolutely, of course you do. And you can't. I mean, Arnold Palmer would be the first to say winning a major is the most important thing, and you will need to be in the best shape for doing that. Now, McIlroy isn't going to play from now until the Masters. I'm not sure about Donald's situation, but I wouldn't, be far from the same, I'd have thought. Just so they're fresh, they're ready and raring to go, because it means absolutely everything to them to win that major. McIlroy's done it. Donald's not done it yet.
No, he's still waiting.
I'd love to see Donald do it, but I think McIlroy, having done it at such an early age, he knows what it's about now. I think he will go on and do more and more of this sort of thing, and take. I think McIlroy's a big name in golf for the next 20 years. I think really, but on the topic of Palmer being upset. I think it's a bit unjustified, and I think it's a little bit toys out of the pram. Arnold Palmer is the biggest name in world golf and has been for a long time. But you can't, the game's changed.
There weren't as many tournaments.
Exactly, the requirements have changed on the players, and I agree with McIlroy and Donald. Stick to your guns, prepare for the big ones in the way you see fit, and they've reached the top of this ranking system on merit. When they've played, they've finished. Yeah, exactly. They've made it to the upper echelons of every tournament that they've played in. So, they've got every right to be where they are, and if they choose to miss a couple of tournaments, that's fine. They're still going to be up there.
Okay, Rob. We'll just move now on to the world of football. Now, it's March, and we're almost getting to the business end of the season, aren't we? We've had a lot of toing and froing over the last few months, Christmas especially, but now, in the last week, Manchester United have just taken the pole position. Obviously, Man City got a great win last night. Do you see it going all the way, and do you see it relying on that derby, of course, which is fairly late on in the season?
It is. What is it, the last weekend of April?
I think so.
April 30th, maybe. Yeah, I think it all rides on that.
Yeah.
I really do. If whoever wins that will win it, I'm sure. If there's a draw, I think United will win it. Obviously, it all relies on points, but United know what they're doing here.
It's we say the same thing every year, don't we? Yeah. It's not a cliche because it's fact, isn't it? United
Absolutely.
Now they've got that pole position in the grip. Are they going to let it go? I mean, you saw even against Wolves that even Alex Ferguson said we had a fairly average performance.
Yeah,
they still win 5.
I know. Yeah.
Man City, of course, at home, they seem to be able to win every game. Away though, they have struggled a bit, haven't they?
They have, yeah. I think. They've had the wobble that everyone was expecting that they would probably have at some point. And that comes from being at the highest point and looking down and you think, crikey, pressure, yeah. They, I think they're through that, actually. I think last night coming from behind against a team like Chelsea would do wonders for any side.
Yeah.
So I've got no doubt that they're in good shape for this one as well. But I think United will pick up more points when they need to. I think, I don't think City are done with dropping the occasional point here and there, but I don't think United will drop many points now. I really don't.
And a bit further down, we've seen Arsenal obviously somehow from nowhere come into third. We've got Spurs who are on a bit of a bad run.
Yeah.
And Chelsea who until last night have been revitalised. And then we go a bit lower. Newcastle still going strong. People had written them off. And then I hate to say it, Rob, but Liverpool probably now just up for the cups, aren't they?
That was exactly right, yeah. I think I don't think the third and fourth places for the Champions League are sewn up by any stretch.
No.
And I think it could be any one from Newcastle upwards. Really, I think Liverpool have blown it as it were now. They're already in Europe for next season with the Europa League. So I think the thoughts on Liverpool. Has Kenny done much of a better job than Hodgson? I don't know. There's silverware in the cabinet now, so you've got to say that must speak for something.
That's it, isn't it? We hear the Arsenal fans grumbling that they haven't had a trophy for years. But they retaliate by saying, "Oh, well, we're in the Champions League." But then the Liverpool fans grumble that, "Oh, we're not in the Champions League. We've got a trophy." So
yeah, exactly. It's where the Champions League though is. Aside from the Premier League itself, you have to get in that. If you want to, it is. Yeah. If you want to take yourself seriously as a football team in this league, you have to be going into the Champions League.
Do you think not getting in the Champions League could seriously affect people leaving the squad, the better players, and perhaps the ability to attract big names? Or do you think because Liverpool is such a big name in world football, they should be all right, even if they finish in the bottom half?
I don't know about the bottom half, but I think that seventh where we're.
Oh, they're not going to.
No, of course, no. But I think seventh where they're at is almost the cut-off for attracting the big names. To be honest, let's not forget. This is 2 seasons now where we finished down there. I was a big fan of a change regarding Benitez. But say what we like about Benitez, he had us up there. It was rare that it didn't finish up there with Rafa.
You wouldn't have him back in the summer.
No.
He has said he wouldn't mind returning at some point.
You know what? I this would shame myself looking at this a couple of years ago, but I would probably give him another shot.
Really?
Yeah, I think I probably would, yeah.
They do say never go back.
Yeah.
I suppose Dalglish's gone back.
Well, you're right. I don't know. I like the football we play under Dalglish. I like the mentality. The Dalglish era has been a fun run one, really. It's been an era of rebuilding.
Definitely in a better place than when Hodgson left.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was all Hodgson's fault.
I don't think any of it was Hodgson's fault. I think Hodgson had a poison chalice at the time because it was right at the tail end of Hicks and Gillette's reign, and where there was so much upheaval and unrest, and he had to sort of steady the ship throughout all of that. And I think whoever had that was going to have a difficult time. It just so happened it was someone that the COP didn't want. Really, they never wanted Hodgson. I couldn't really believe it. He was a very strong candidate for the job. And the COP prides itself, apparently, looking at you out there, the COP prides itself on being behind the club whatever happens, and the club is their life, and that wasn't the case with Hodgson. They wanted him out, and I got banned from the forums, the online forums, for saying a few things about wanting a change from Rafa.
It's unusual, isn't it? I mean, we've got Hodgson now, who is doing really well, isn't he, at West Brom, and in line with the England job, didn't quite work for him at Liverpool for whatever reason. And then you've got Di Matteo, who seems to be doing a perfectly good job at West Brom, sacked for, a little poor run of results. Yeah. But now he's back in the frame for, on paper, an even better job. He's doing okay, isn't
he? He's doing absolutely fine, yeah, given what's going on there as well.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea's a different job entirely because of the relationship between the club and Roman Abramovich. If he... it's his rule. It's the Wild West in Chelsea. If you don't follow the the sheriff's rules, you're out of there. So
can't plead ignorance.
You can't. No. But it is. It is an interesting period, interesting time to be involved for all these managers, especially as we come down towards the end of the season. But my biggest horror was seeing Mick McCarthy go. I couldn't.
Yeah.
What is going on? Really.
People said at the time, it's okay as long as you've got someone in line to replace him.
Yeah.
And if, it seems like there was Kerbishley perhaps as a contender.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce is still. I think he's still waiting for the phone call.
Really?
He's never. I think he had an interview and then he's never been rung back. But I've no idea what's going on there. But it does prove you can just sort of upset the oil cart. And I mean, people might say that if QPR go down, mightn't they? I know they got a good win last night.
Yeah.
But their fixtures are really tough.
It is, and they've also spent a lot of money.
They have.
They've really put their money where their mouth is, and if it doesn't work, you have to look at what's going wrong, possibly on the management side of things there. But I didn't understand getting rid of Mick. Mick is completely behind the club. He's never had any ulterior motive. He always comes across well in the media. He speaks his mind. He speaks the truth.
And he's got them out of there before.
He has, yeah. And I know that. If you want to take a club forward, you can't be looking at being involved in a relegation battle every year. But sometimes the means of your club and what your club is financially capable of can only justify that much. And I think Mick had a good enough chance as any to keep them up again this year.
Yeah, he did.
They'll go down now, and then they'll be in the Championship, and they'll probably find it hard to get out of there because that is a league and a half.
I think almost the chairman and the fans were thinking, well, hang on, Stoke are just a bit north of us. Why aren't we? Doing what they're doing. In reality, there isn't much difference in the clubs. And I think Wolves are just maybe trying to make that leap a bit too soon, aren't they? But
I think you're right, yeah. Whatever Stoke have done in the last 15 years has been tremendous. Dragging themselves up from Stockport County's level down in League Two. to pull themselves up to, well, it was, what was it, Division 3 at that time?
It was, yeah.
To pull themselves up to being away at Valencia a couple of weeks back in the Europa League. It's astonishing, really. But whatever they've done it well.
And then quickly just dropping down into the Championship, we were saying before, it's as tight as anything. It always is. It's perhaps the most exciting league in the world, isn't it?
It's the most unpredictable. Every week, the standard of football you get in that league, and the results you get, it's crazy.
Crazy. Of course, we've had debate that only teams who've gone down in the last couple of years can go back up, but Southampton have just shot right up, haven't they?
Absolutely, and I love what's going on at Southampton as well.
So it's a big club. It's a good club.
It is a big, good club, yeah, and I really hope that they come into the Premier League and do well, and I don't see any reason why they won't. Ricky Lambert will come in, and it'll be a big test for him, whether he can
Grant Holt's done it, hasn't he?
He has.
Yeah.
there is room for a big number 9, even though he's not a number 9. But, there is a room for a big target man, and a big, more old-fashioned style of attacker. Andy Carroll, yeah. Although it's a work in progress. Yeah. £35 million. Anyway.
5-year plan.
5-year plan, yeah. I don't see any reason why that can't work, and they can't do like a Swansea or a Norwich, because what they've done is tremendous. They've had years out of the top flight. And
yeah, well, they have been in League One, haven't they?
Yeah.
And also another small club who everyone has written off after they got relegated from the Premiership, Blackpool, and they're on more points now than they were when they went up.
Are they? I didn't know that.
They just squeezed into the playoffs last time and managed to get up by the lottery of the players. But it's been a good reaction from them, hasn't it? And they've got a little bit more money because of the balloon payments and all that. So it does benefit you, even if they went down, I think.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
That they've done that. I mean, they're another good club, Blackpool, with another good support base. But I think they've got a manager there that has got his head screwed on, who's got everyone in the town, in and around, behind the scenes, on the pitch, lubricated and ready to roll.
And he stayed there, hasn't he? I mean,
he has,
I'm sure
to
he's
his credit,
probably had other offers. But
he must have done, yeah.
And it should work out for him, maybe. And
I think
got
so.
a good shot going
up. They'll come back up. Yeah. I think West Ham will come back up as well.
Yeah.
So I think, that'd be my pick, actually.
The three.
West Ham, Southampton and Blackpool.
So, in the boxing world, Rob, we've had an interesting month, to say the least. Is the sport in a state of decline, or... I mean, let's be honest, it's come a long way, hasn't it, since the days of even Lennox Lewis. Are we talking more wrestling now?
I think...
So it's felt from a media point of view.
It was pure WWE, wasn't it?
It
was going on in Munich, complete with Frank Warren's best Vince McMahon impression.
He's turned into that.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. I mean, when you talk about a possible decline position of boxing, I think the heavyweight position of heavyweight boxing is as low as it's ever been. It's in the toilet after what these two idiots did. And I would never come on something like this and say idiot, but they've embarrassed themselves, embarrassed the sport, and embarrassed the country with what they've been doing and saying. And I hold them both equally to that. To be honest, it was an embarrassment. Can you imagine what if two young German fighters had come over here? Our view of them back over there would be. We'd hold them in the utmost contempt, and it'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to spread the word too far for English. Well, the name of English people in these countries, it doesn't make us look too friendly.
Well,
or
it was like Brits abroad, boxing version. Just two big guys with beers, whacking each other and
cameras.
The tripod. That was proper WWE stuff.
It was,
that was. It was just terrible. But lower than that, in terms of weight, I think boxing is obviously in decent enough health.
Got the Carl Peterson rematch.
It's really exciting. I think the whole world is waiting out for, and this is not just in the boxing world. It's got to be Mayweather Pacquiao.
Yeah,
if that doesn't
you think it's a bit too late though now? And even if it did happen, they are both slightly past the best. I mean, still at the top, aren't they? But
but neither will be able to say that they beat the best, because they both regard themselves as the best, and that was the fight that would have settled that one once and for all. And it's just a shame that it's not happened for whatever reason. I think Mayweather's carrying on doesn't help anything, to be honest.
There we go.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't, for the same reason, you wouldn't want Hay to fight the other Klitschko.
I don't want Hay to ever fight again. I think he embarrassed himself. Last July.
He was meant to have retired anyway.
Well, yeah, stay retired, stick to your guns. I think when he started shouting after the Chisora debacle that he was excited to get a shot at Vitali. He just betrayed to everyone what his motives was. Retire because he might get a fight out of it at some point. No, it was pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And it's a shame because he appears to be a smart, charming, educated man.
He's very erudite.
Yeah, he really is.
Interviews are excellent. Yeah.
But I think that sometimes weighs against him because he's far too honest about what he says.
Yeah.
He's got no apology for what goes on or anything like that. But he says it in such a nice way that I'm almost seduced into believing that he might be a decent guy.
Well, we'll finish with tennis. Someone else who I think long ago wasn't regarded as the biggest media darling, Andy Murray. His tennis has won him through, and he is a bit better now with the media. He's a bit more tongue in cheek. He does things for comic relief, that kind of thing. But everyone keeps saying no, he's still not done it. He's still not won, one of the the big events now. But we saw in that incredible semi-final in Australia with Djokovic that he's as near as damn it, isn't he, to being the best in the world at a time when we've got 4 of the best players we've ever seen.
Yes, I think the topic of this episode of Commentator's Corner has been how rude how good the health of certain sports are.
Yeah.
And I think tennis is another one of those where you will never get an era like
the
this
male
again.
game.
Yeah, the male game, of course. You've got 4 of the best players who've ever played the game going at it toe to toe. And just now you've got Federer coming back. He had a quiet period, and now
quietly winning the odd title.
Just he's the only unbeaten player in 2012 apparently.
There you go.
But you're absolutely right about Murray and Djokovic. That was one for the doubters. I think he went toe to toe with the best player in the world at the time, and it was just amazing.
And that was just the semi-final, wasn't it? And at one stage, it did look like Murray was going to do it, didn't it?
Yeah. I know. Well, we were in contact during the game itself, just agog at what was going on. But that's the thing with great tennis matches that you always get at these events, the 5-set events. That
it's epic.
It's just huge, but there's a story. It's like watching it's like Lord of the Rings, a sport version of that. It just goes on and on and on. Yeah.
It was well over 5 hours, wasn't it? And they were playing till, was it 10 to 2 almost?
It was horrible, horrible amount of time.
And they still got the energy. This is what I think. The sport. We say the sport's progressed, but the physicality of it is just it's never been that good, hasn't it?
They're absolute athletes. Has never been a more appropriate word. Yeah. They really, really are. To do anything at the top level for 5 hours is obscene, really. I can barely sit down for 5 hours, let alone play tennis.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah.
Very good, okay. Whew. Well, quite a lot of sport was discussed there with myself and Rob. If you think that the debate hasn't ended, and I don't think it has because there's loads more to discuss, then please go on to our website, that's downrightsport.com, or the Facebook site, or on Twitter, where you can add any comments, and hopefully the debate will continue. Okay, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you very shortly.